be two different meetings, like working groups separate from Treasury management, or is that just a duplication that's named
I
different?
th- it's we like the accounting work group used to meet before at this hour, and the TG meeting would happen an hour before. But then with season 6, we started doing it the TG meeting at this hour, and like we take the accounting work group on a different like async work. So yeah,
So duplication.
exactly.
Are we just the non-daylight savings, non-US? Is this really this group?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm part of the daylight savings time group, but it's just this week is just going to be kind of silly like that because until people figure out the new times for everything.
But it flows to your Google Calendar, and your Google Calendar changes with you. No, is it just
Yeah.
me?
No, you're right. I think it's I've manually created my own events because like the sesh calendars, I just had enough trouble with them that I was like, just I'm going to do it myself, and so calendar management is its own thing. Yeah. Daylight savings time. Yeah.
So yeah, I think like a lot of people are here, and like we think we can get a start with the work. Uh, so it's like Sprinkles had brought up a topic of discontinued projects. The project which has not been continuing from in recent seasons. So I have tried up let me share the screen. Is it visible to all of us? Okay, there's something funny. Screens, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
not
yeah.
anymore. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's coming. So it's like first we need to identify we need to make sure that if these like I was able to fetch out these 6 projects, and I want to know from every one of us like if these projects are still running or not. So like the first one is AMA V2 lying with the like $5,000, then Bankless Brazil lying with $534, and this one is lying with around $10,000, and so GM is 10,000, mobile application is 1,500 around, and tokenomics is around $500. So like I want to understand from the veteran people here, like if these uh projects are still running or they have been discontinued.
Um. So scroll that to the right.
Okay. Like this was
Bankless
this.
Brazil. Yeah, hang on. Bankless Brazil is very busy. They are very, very busy.
Okay.
Did you share that?
Let's see there. Okay. Brazil. Okay, yeah, like they are still busy. Like they are doing still the transactions.
Yeah,
Let me
no, there's
just see.
Bankless Brazil is jamming.
Okay. And what about the EMA V2, sir? Do we have any updates on them?
Open it up. Let me see. Yeah, GM bus is toast. 210.
Like there's
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Really?
okay. I mean,
Did the GM bus finish or did something happen? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know.
I mean, it was a one-time project funding,
hmm
right? It was for agreed upon certain time and X number of events. Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, no,
Doesn't go beyond the first event, from what I hear of it.
GM bus. Let's find out.
And yeah, Bankless Brazil's last Twitter post, pinned post, was March 13th. So I think
No,
they're
Bankless Brazil,
doing their
they're
own
very
thing
busy.
now, right? I don't think they sold NFTs.
No, they're a sub DAO. I stay in touch with them because I wanna make sure that they get the support they need. They've got around a few thousand people in their Discord, and like they're jamming. They are a full stand up sub DAO, so they're good. Like we don't need anything back from them. They're flying. If anything, they'll likely need support in terms of tokenization and things at some point in the future if they choose to go that route.
Well, we could always
Um,
check in with them and share anything we've learned in accounting with them. Maybe pass on some, if they need it.
yeah, it couldn't hurt. I mean, they're still here too. Like almost all of them, or at least their core contributors, are in our DAO, like are in our Discord, as well as are in theirs. It just in fact, I mean, a large contingent of them were actually at ETH Denver, repping Bankless Brazil shirts and the whole thing, like meeting with people. They've had a podcast with Ryan and David, in fact. So
Yeah,
they're jamming.
they got a YouTube channel.
hmm
Nice.
nice. That's great. Like, does anyone know about the GM bus, what they are up to, and how they would be proceeding ahead? Because the last transaction is of February. That is just one transaction, and there are 3 transactions in January.
Where is their channel? Where is the GM bus?
The only one I've got
Okay,
listed there is Themes GM bus.
sorry,
Don't know whether that's still the
I think
case.
I confused it. The last transaction was, sir, in November 22, and they are still lying with around $10,000 worth of dollar of tokens with them.
Let's ping them. I'd say reach out, ping themes in the accounting channel, and just go, hey, like, what's
Okay.
the word? And if we don't get traction with her, I could, like, Perchy was part of it too, and I'm sure that we could just check in and go, hey, you guys still functional? Do you still need your funds, or could you, what are you gonna do? You want to return them to the DAO? What's up?
All right, so like I'm marking, like I'll reach out to Fiends like in this week.
Mhm.
Moving on next.
They're still doing
Take
their
care.
thing. Their Twitter is active. They're posting pictures.
Hmm.
And it's a .eth domain, so gmbus.eth.
They
I
sure are. March 12th.
Yeah. Yeah, they're doing podcasts on Podbean,
I'll be damned.
right? Talking to Creator Cabins. As I was saying, I should probably get them to visit one of our KIF sites. Or maybe I can go cruise around with them next time they're on the West Coast.
Hmm.
That's what I want to do with my band ultimately. I got a brand new white paint job. It's just ready for fucking Web3 sponsorship logos.
Hmm. Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, it's worth a check in on them. Okay. Did we switch out? Switch out, Nikhil.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Great. So, content get to be okay. I think this is also this had zero balance, so I had cleared out. So what's up with the mobile app? How do you think what's the update with mobile app and is it running or not? Because
No,
as
yeah.
it's like with mobile app, like the last transaction was in January 22, and they are still setting up with around $1,500 worth of tokens.
Yeah, I think let me check.
During the
Um,
safe claim, I have actually reached out to NS Hume. He was the project chairman of mobile app back then. But basically, that multisig isn't working, I guess, because some of the signers really left the DAO.
Oh, wow.
Like okay, it's like even if they left the bankless DAO, but then like can like on a good gesture, like they have been since they have been the part of bankless at some time. Would it like would it be fine like if we can reach out to them and ask them to execute the last transaction?
and send it all back.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see.
There is NS Human and Behold right now in the Discord, I guess, from that project.
Anus Human, is that the name?
NS Human.
Let me reach out
Okay.
to him. Okay. I pinged him. I think it's
Okay.
toast. So I think it's probably worth like we can ask them for to pass it back or distribute the end of the funds.
Great. That will be great of help. So moving on to AMA V2, like this is is it still running? Because I could still see they have done a transaction in February, like just one transaction though, but then they have done it. And like they distributed some like DAI in January. So like the what is this project about? Because I could not get any clue about them.
Where did you hear about it?
Uh, it's like I received a link where there was detail of all the projects which has been like uh, like granted by bank
Mhm.
grants committee or like main treasury. So I was able to fetch it out and like just run some things.
Let me
It's
see.
like gradually I'll be like getting deeper to all the safe where the main treasury grants committee and operations have transacted to
Mhm.
its department or guilds or the project. So I'll be having more like deeper readings if we could find out such more projects.
Mhm. AMA V2.
I never even
This is
heard
the
that.
fire. This is a Fiery Eyes collab with us.
Was it, oh, so that may be yeah, if that's the Fire Eyes collab. Um yeah, then they're still active.
Okay. So let's mark them to be active then.
It's
Um,
I think so. Like I think that they're busy.
okay, great. Coming up with indices now, they are setting up with around 10,000 of worth of dollars, like worth of tokens with their safe. Like, do we have any update of what they are up to these days? And let's see their last transaction. Oh yeah, like their last transaction was they received around like 375,000 bank token on 5th, like that is May 22.
Mhm. Yeah, so they're I think toast. I think um did they have a channel?
Like I so like I have like it's like I was running for all the accounting work and all, but then I never saw any indices channel and Discord.
Yeah, really. Let me see if I can find anything because this is where it's like um, yeah, here we go. Let's see. I've got a lot of thankless checkout. Hmm. Nope. I think they're toast. Let me I could talk to yeah, I'll touch base with Lucas. He ran that project, and so I think that him and Air Bear and a few others did it. So I think that we could empty that wallet. I actually need to sync with Lucas anyway, so let's see
Okay.
if I can do that today.
Uh, so could you also like reach out to Feems regarding the GM burst thing?
Well, here, so I'm gonna do it in the accounting group, and this can
Okay.
like kick off the you know themes. You can use this like a template, for the future. But
Okay.
Nick, all right, pinged.
Great. Okay. This is strange. And last but not the least, tokenomics leveling up. Like I think we only have one transaction in the safe, and it's like, are we gonna keep like continuing this safe?
Nope. Let's toast it. Give me the safe address on that one, and I'll take a look at who owns it.
Okay. I'm DMing it to you.
Okay. Perfect.
Great. Oh,
Ooh. I might need you to copy that text out because you sent me a little picture.
all right. Like, okay. Yeah. Here you go.
There we go. Yeah. Is that at that group? I think just slowly stop meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the
Lockboy,
bounty
Chuck,
hunter?
Hunter, Joe King.
What's now the
So,
matter
like,
of the bounty hunter podcast?
so like Bounty Hunter podcast, like I checked up with their accounting, and
Mhm.
they don't have any balance now. I'll show you. Like I happen to use this integral app. Like I'm trying on their accounting feature and all. So like it has the balance of all the guilds and projects. Yeah. So let's just go to Bounty Hunter. So yeah, like Bounty Hunter has zero balance. So they had cleared up everything, and so does the content gateway.
Okay, so that means they're done as a project, one could say.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, cool. I know who's on these. All right,
But then like
Hunter, Lockboy. Great.
we are gonna keep digging more like safe, like who we have not been using the funds of. So like let me map all the funds and all. So I'll keep gradually doing it, this practice. So yeah.
Yeah, rock on.
Okay. So like the second thing like I would like to discuss is like just after the main treasury, like newsletter team is sitting with like they're having around 75,000 of tokens with them. Like, do we have any like revenue sharing back to the main treasury with them? Like any such detail or any practices before?
Or project revenue sharing?
Yes, sir.
Project by project, it depends.
Uh-huh. So
Yeah, go ahead.
like who keeps the track of the revenue sharing, and like who takes the update, and yeah, like just the casual things, so
Yeah, the casual things. It's project dependent, and so they have an agreement. Like in the proposal, they'll have an agreement with the DAO around, you know, whether or not they will be returning revenue to the DAO,
mm-hmm.
and based on that, the grants committee funds or does not fund. So it's project dependent and unfortunately decentralized, and so as a result, a nightmare for accounting.
Okay. So it's like when I'm thinking about it, I'm not just thinking it from an accounting perspective, but then also I'm thinking it from a like treasury member. It's like
Yes.
our treasury should be like strong. So it's like if we provide funds to a project to build their infra, and once they start earning revenue, like as a treasury, we might expect, like that in the longer run they help us with their revenue or something like that. So
No, I think this is 100% appropriate. This is a great conversation. I think that we're going to have to potentially make suggestions to the DAO around like how to do this, because I think that the challenge that I think the grants committee has is that it's case by case. It's like the grants committee has a Herculean effort in terms of like how to fund and how to, and then like these projects have to like, make it appealing to the DAO. And so, just like from a traditional startup model, 10% in the first year or 10% of revenue in general is really hard. Like, most investing models don't expect, revenue for the second or third year, let alone, the first or something. So there's something, and right now the only thing we've got is like, social agreements like, hey, could you please once you all are profitable, could you please send it back? And maybe that's all we will have, but this is probably something we're gonna have to keep thinking about and chewing on, and potentially create suggestion opportunities to the DAO. Like maybe, I think one interesting simple solution is like that projects tokenize. Then we have an insanity conversation of like every project's got to freaking tokenize. How in the hell would we manage that? So that's not a simple solution at all.
Why wouldn't we just suggest to projects that they store their branding and revenue share agreements in Sobel? And, or, their, if they don't have revenue, at least, if they're thinking
It's a
about
good
revenue,
suggestion, yeah.
right? But storing all that in Sobel would make perfect sense. It's already there. The organization or project should already have its own circle potentially in Sobel. And if part of the funding process was that, just like you have to write a specification, why not, suggest that folks also include their brand, there's a branding section, but there's no like templates for simple branding agreements, and same with revenue share. There's no like templates for people to just say, okay, this is, 10% goes here, 10% goes here, and then we'll figure out, what we do with the 80%.
Right. I mean, and I think that's a good suggestion. And I think this is the challenge is we as a DAO need to kind of adopt some policies around this, just because it is it's project dependent, and in some places we may, in the same way of like accounting, we likely need, hey, could we have could you would use Parcel so that we can do accounting quick and easy. Here's why. It's like, you're gonna love it. They're paying for gas. So that's the immediate and simple. Second, though, is that it decreases overhead for the DAO. So I think that's a good direction and a start, and because right, like where do we store the agreements we've made? And Sobel does have a nice little place for that. Because I think that even for the grants committee and for your job, Nikhil, it's like the grants committee has distributed funding. Then you got to like, was there a revenue share agreement with this project? What happened to all these other projects? And you go, hang on, I'll go look. 2 hours later,
At minimum, it can be like they have to believe they submit a tally form after you get approval. So all the grants committee really needs to do is add a type field in their form so that we can begin identifying revenue generating potential, no potential, right? And then at least we can identify who we got to focus on instead of like keeping track of every single project.
Yeah. Nanner, thoughts on this?
So, Can we come again?
Yeah, here, Nanner, do you have any opinions on some of this? Being a grants committee member.
Senat and I are, we're still looking into this. We had a. I'll start differently. We are looking at a project framework. We had one up last season, and there was so much opposition as always that we thought we'd split that off and just concentrate on the template, so that at least we have a template. Having said that, we've still got the framework. I did work through most of it and the comments that we had, and including the aspect of any revenue share, the merits of it, or the potential problems that are associated with it. And at some point, not at some point, what we want to do is sort of share this and then open this up. And we had already spoken about some ideas that he had. CryptoDad had some ideas that would tie in of how the BDAO could generate some revenue. We would like them then to weigh in on this, and then we can see what we get from there. The 10% is problematic. I've always, for me, this is random. Ultimately, someone thought 10% even figure. Let's take 10%. 10% of revenue.
I like
Ice Cool,
80%.
as you know yourself, and as it has been pointed out, that can be a very, very high amount of any kind of even rudimentary profit in the end, because you have a lot of expenses at the beginning and no profit at all, or very little profit. So that's not really workable, I think. But having said that, it's not about necessarily having the projects pay something. It's about how BDAO can make profit. That is really the question.
Hey guys,
So we have to perhaps approach it from a completely different angle anyway. So having said that, we can collect some ideas, and I'm happy to have everyone on board there once we get this plan, this framework open. Even if we separate it afterwards, from that framework, that doesn't matter. But I have problems with the 10% and this rule, and I know it's sort of everywhere. It's everyone likes bringing it up, but I think there are a lot of flaws in this concept. Having said that, yes, there has to be some kind of earning opportunity for BDAO as a potential Treasury feedback, and there are some ideas out there. But I'm happy to have Ernest's suggestions. I know we were speaking about the branding issue. And,
hey, RTJ.
Sorry.
Yeah, RTJ, you had something too.
I do. So the project revenue sharing with the DAO has become a logistical, legal, and regulatory nightmare. So I've been actually trying to figure this out for about 3 seasons, working with lawyers, working with CPAs, because the DAO doesn't have a legal structure or legal entity. Trying to pay the DAO from a legal entity is essentially a non-starter from that perspective. So the same way as if the DAO can't contract with a company and can't engage in commercial activity with a legal entity, trying to pay back in a revenue share model in fiat or stable coins or ETH or anything like that, it's just not allowed in the United States. So company or projects that are making revenue that want to pay back the DAO have no legal recourse to do so right now.
Well, that's a fun nice little cap in the day.
Well, I would argue we don't want to design a legal structure, right? What we're trying to do is create a gift culture, and the gift of 10% of any of your inflows back to the DAO Treasury is just that. It's just a gift. And you can call it revenue, you can call it a donation, you can call it whatever you want. But if you install a practice and culture of gifting, then that's different. And I would suggest it's even easier. In the ThriveCoin workstream, we're trying to identify revenue generating projects that need help developing contribution, reward, and incentive systems. And the model that we use is that 10% gets gifted back to the DAO, 5% gets gifted to our workstream, and then we provide support, until you generate revenue. We're hoping that turns into, like essentially it's a consulting kind of service, or it's definitely a service, and hopefully could develop into a team that helped support groups in developing different types of revenue models.
Yeah, we looked at gifting. It's not allowed, so I can't do that in the United States.
That's funny, right? It's literally illegal in the US to give a gift. It's illegal in the US to cook food for people. And I'm, I don't need to go on about it, but like, I don't support that at all.
Well, that's fine, but well, sure, that makes sense, right? The laws aren't in place anywhere for this to occur. So I think we need to think about the revenue share model potentially in a different way, or come up with some other sort of structures around how revenue share can be done with the DAO and with a legal entity.
So, I mean, you were exploring like token buybacks, and we could structure that as like, because technically a token buyback is a revenue share to all token holders. If we, nobody's recording
That's
this
correct.
call. Wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yeah. So there's nothing prohibiting buying, the bank token on the open market. That is correct. But other than holding that in Treasury or staking it or something else, there's no way for me to, let's say, buy 1 million bank and then transfer it to Bankless DAO.
You can't send tokens to someone else.
Cannot send tokens. I can send tokens to iSchool. I can send tokens to Ernest of Gaia. I cannot send tokens to Bankless DAO, a non-registered legal entity.
You can send it to a juice box.
Probably not.
Yeah, can you send funds?
Yeah, maybe if there was so Juicebox as a fundraising for some sort of entity that was KYC'd, yes, absolutely.
No, it's a treasury management protocol.
I understand that, but there has to be somebody's name behind it or some entity name behind the fundraising.
No.
Contract addresses.
So you can't send to an arbitrary contract address. That's just not allowed.
You can buy an NFT, can't you? I mean, serious. That's the whole point. Like,
yep.
Like you can buy an NFT, right? So on
Correct.
Juicebox, you can buy an NFT from the Juicebox campaign. So there's no reason.
We need to be very careful right around this area, because this is where money laundering conversations begin.
Yeah. And so if you're operating a business, and I'm sure Tessa probably feels this as well for her US based entity, there's a lot of gray lines that you have to be extremely careful about, and black lines or red lines that you can't cross.
Yeah. It's called the box of allowable activism.
I think it's called legal.
Yeah, code. Right. There's different names for it. I think Ernest, your style is going to be like on the box of allowable activism. I think on the more business, it's like freaking governmental compliance.
It's not my
okay.
government. I
I know,
renounce my
I
citizenship.
know.
I've renounced my citizenship.
I know, Ernest, and for the
My
for
world.
the rest of us though, yeah, fair enough.
My magic
For the
internet
rest of us
network.
though, yeah,
Magic
good.
in that world. Yeah.
Yeah.
In my world, I'm looking for solutions. I don't have one.
Yeah.
That's the
Right.
point that I would bring up. I can't give revenue share back to the DAO from a legal entity.
Okay, I think this is a cool point though. This is likely worth us, maybe, oh, I don't know, jumping on a call
You
around or
can
something.
subscribe to a newsletter. You can subscribe to a podcast. Like you could do things that brought value back to the DAO without. And yes, there would be no like legal way to mandate this, right? But if you really wanted to support the DAO financially, you can just go subscribe, get a paid subscription to every single podcaster in the DAO, right?
Yeah, I think the token buyback. I think there's something probably like maybe a token buyback and lockup RTJ. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna think about this and
Yeah, I was just gonna suggest the token buyback, and then either like a burn or a send.
Can you send it to? Yeah, can you
I could
like
put
so burning sends it to 0.x00.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think that's a solution. Buyback and burn.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to look at the tokenomics of that. It probably doesn't make a dent, but it's something that we could think about.
Yeah, I mean, every little bit counts. But yeah, let me chew on it. But buyback and burn is likely. It sounds like a legal best we've got potentially. It is. I think just acknowledging it's not direct revenue back to the DAO. It's indirect revenue to all token holders. We're having to do the legal legal twister.
Well, in support of what Run the Jewels said, one of the topics that were discussed at ETH Denver was that, like, and I didn't know this, but when you do a general startup company that does global business, you essentially need to set up like 3 to 5 different companies, right? Like that's just kind of like standard practice. If you're just a plumber in the US, or maybe you have your own design company in within the US or a small area, maybe all you need is your state legal, structure. And then so yeah, folks like Callie and the other folks, like that's the big problem, is that you're going to have to set up 3 to 5 legal structures. We hope blockchain makes it to where you only got to do it once, and then whatever structures globally you need are kind of pulled into that legal wrapper.
It seems to me that the larger crypto ecosystem, it's like we were pushing for legitimacy, push, and okay, cool. Now we're engaging with like the traditional infrastructure and governmental infrastructure, etc. And now we're still looking for legitimacy, but just finding we're having to do these, like how archaic some of these systems are. I think yeah, this is the future we're working toward, is what you're kind of talking about, Ernest, of like only one, but I guess this is the work that is in front of us of what we've got to do to use this new trust layer globally that is blockchain and smart contracts. Okay, I'm going to dig into the tokenomics on buyback and burns. One quick question, actually, RTJ. So I was talking with Collabland yesterday, and they actually, this isn't for you. This is I need to talk with legal, and just like because they're doing like Opolis and others, and so just to finish my thought is that like they as a DAO are actually registering in I think like Wyoming or Delaware or something or Idaho, whichever one of the ones that is registered or recognized DAOs, and um and so while I'm with you, Ernest, on like you know the DAO likely should not be a legal entity. I don't have an opinion. I don't know whether it should be or not. Um, I just know that it's very difficult wherever we land.
Well, I'm just saying that
If we land.
reciprocal relationships are different than tit for tat business relationships. And that's where the friction lies, is that when you're trying to structure tit for tat relationships, this happens, then this happens, right? When you're developing reciprocal business relationships, as cooperatives do, what they do is they support the products from each other's cooperatives. So it's called like giving preferential treatment. So before you go subscribe to another podcaster, you'll give Bankless DAO a consideration, and that's just part of the collaboration between Bankless DAO and your organization. You don't have to pay for the subscription to that person, but we want you to know that that's you don't need to. There's other ways to give to the cooperative, and that's by you know being a member and a consumer and a contributor. And yeah, like you got to be motivated to do it first. If you're not willing to do it unless you're forced into a contract to do it, then that's not a reciprocal relationship.
Well, you can also provide utility of some kind. Huh? I mean, we're having a chat with Bankless Academy 1 or 2 days ago, and they provide a nice platform for Bankless DAO members where they can develop training courses. Of course, you have to provide the content yourself, but they provide the infrastructure for utilizing this. That would be an example where DAO actually has access to a wonderful tool free of charge. That would be a utility.
And if you could fund or pay for services at Bankless Academy, then maybe they could ask for less from Bankless DAO, right? So by seeing the relationship in a different way, there's other behaviors that are interesting, that produce the relationship that we want without being burdened by our slave masters.
Yeah, I think Nanner and Ernest, like those 2 points, like the utility back to the DAO, like it depends, right? Like it's going to be case by case. Like Bankless Academy is in a nice position because they do have a platform that they can do that with. Like Bankless Consulting, you could say it's already doing some of that because it's taking, it's a place for DAO members to go. It's like as talent, and a number of dev contributors, InfoSec as well, have created business service offerings through Bankless Consulting. So I think there's, I don't know, conversation continues. But I think definitely not wrong. Like, Bankless Academy does provide value back to the DAO, and Bankless Consulting chewing on how to get revenue back. Yo, back to you, man. This was a big one. This is a tough topic.
But then, yeah, like, let's keep discussing and let's keep, like, reaching out to some conclusion, productive conclusions. Yeah. Consultancy. So, what are you doing? Okay.
Yeah, and if you truly see like, you know, the I like to look at things at the systems services level, because essentially that's what a media cooperative does, is it provides you can provide content, but when you're actually also providing media services as part of your work, that's where you're elevated, you become the network state, right? What does the state do? It provides all kinds of different services. Um,
That's true.
right? Um, and it doesn't have to be like, and we do have legal entities in the DAO that are, I would say, better positioned to do like, what do you need to do with the DAO Treasury multi-sig signers that you can't do with Bankless Consulting or, um, any of the independent design contractors in Design Guild for graphics work? Like what else are you trying to do that you can't do with some of the legal entities that do exist? Because that's essentially what we say is like, hey, you legal entity, you go ahead, you make those decisions, right? Go ahead, you file that paperwork. We don't want to do it. Um, we're fine with not doing what you're doing because you're set up to do it well, and we're just going to sit back and support and be that network so that y'all can do what you want to do.
Yeah, I think maybe
Maybe.
that yeah, I think that and unfortunately, sorry, don't mean to be like vague on that, but it is a like I hear some of that. It's like that we can act in the space of ambiguity. I think that there's another conversation of like how as a DAO, like how much, because I'm a huge fan of the digital state narrative, or at least a big fan, you know. But the I think there's the dual conversation of like, um, you know, we likely want to be just integritous, transparent, upfront, and maybe, and if we want, to do, if we want, or if some group wants to do more activism, it may be good for that to be a sub DAO rather than the DAO itself, just to manage like our risk exposure and some of these things, because it's something that I think I am very aware of, and I think we all should be very aware of, is like the SEC is targeting, like they're like a wild gun right now. Nobody knows what the heck they're doing. Thankfully the judicial branch is pushing back on them, and going like, hey guys, no, you need to provide proper documentation so people know whether they're in compliance or not. But I think it's just something that we need to make sure that our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed. So I hear you though. Like there's a part of me that feels very like activist oriented. But I'm also very cognizant of not everyone may feel that at the DAO, and so like somebody, I think it was the SEC, sued just like a whole DAO. So yeah, Uki DAO, right? And so I think these are conversations we've got to be cognizant of, and make sure that if people want to be activist oriented, we allow them to be, but with proper risk management around it.
Great. So let's just cover the other working group updates in just few minutes. We have just got a few minutes left. So yeah, like accounting work group update, like we're still going on with the like tagging and all. And Ernest had shared he had agreed to initiate education session, and he had created a video for to update how do we update the transaction and all. So Ernest, like how do you think we should reach out to everyone and contributor to to have the awareness about the tagging the transaction? Ernest, are you there, sir?
Specifically?
So it's like we saw that you had posted a link, for the which working with the accounting work group, that how to tag the transaction and all. So like, how do you think we should be able to reach out to all the contributors working in Bankless to start tagging the transactions? What would be the right way, and how are we gonna do it?
Oh, it would be good for the community call. Would be the best thing.
Yeah, I think that's
Um,
great. A great place.
the panels that we're doing in the community call, um, there's probably a panel worth doing that's a couple of, I guess you can call it like housekeeping, so less like a heavy discussion like our panels have been, and maybe just a lighter uh, housekeeping conversation like, hey, here's how to improve your counting. Here's
Uh,
here's where to participate in some governance discussion. Here's you know,
Great, amazing. Uh, sp-
Do you think?
Sprinkles, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Just as a quick question to you, Ernest. Do you think that should be its own panel and like that's talked through, or do you think um probably, or do you think we should direct people like via a slide to like go check this thing out? Probably a little bit of both, maybe.
well, so like one way where it could be its own kind of segment is I could be like, okay, I'm from education department and we've been doing our accounting this way and we want to know what's up, and so you could have like a conversation and have it more lengthily. Or if we identified like two or three, short PSAs, right? It's kind of like a PSA.
Yeah,
Great, great.
So I
go
don't
ahead, go ahead.
know. I don't know ultimately, but if we think there's enough content to have a focused, tokenomics or treasury or accounting conversation, then I'm all for it.
Well, so you've got some video content, right?
I would like to see
Okay.
what,
We're probably gonna need to take this async.
yeah.
But um
Yeah, I think we are running ahead of the meeting time, so we should respect all the members' time for now, and we could take it up async and discuss it accordingly.
Yep.
Like just on a short notice, I would like to update everyone that I have created a accounting work group, Let's Meet link, and I would request everyone to join it, and from all the department guilds and projects, and we can have a how we can take things from there.
sounds like
So
a
yeah,
good next step.
I think that would be it for today, I school sir, and we should
Yep.
discuss we should take things async and maybe next week.
That sounds great. And then, we can probably talk about it in the channel and stuff too.
All right, great sir. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Have a good time.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.